and welcome to tonight's action of Division 2 Zoom Racing League. Tonight, we're in Brazil. Race 3, the end of the opening triple header, and we got a great one for you tonight. Looks like we're going to have a rainy qualifying to start. I'm your host, Buffalo Trace. Going into the track map, we have 15 turns here in Brazil, 2.6 miles, 3 sectors, of course, and turn 1, that's Senna S, always up for a little bit of action there on the opening start. Going to the constructor standings, so we have 2 races in after an action-packed Imola. It's Alpine, 2 wins in a row, most wins, most podiums, showing their dominance so far as a team. I want to go over to OG with the driver standings. OG, what's sticking out to you right now?
Well, yeah, you mentioned Alpine is far and away the best team at the moment right now, and the driver standings reflect that perfectly. Johannes is 70 points. The next best person is Sid in the Ferrari for 54, and then Johannes' teammate in the Alpine, Ethan Patel, is 50. And then down the order, it's a bit mixed. Those first 2 races were chaotic. Down the order, up the order for all kinds of people, but um, so expect the driver standings to mix up quite a bit this week, but expect those top 3 of Johannes, Sid, and Ethan Patel to kind of stay the same.
Awesome. Thanks, OG. And while we see these guys come out on their at lap, introducing sideline reporter today, Spanini. Spanini, you've been in some team chats earlier today trying to get some intel. What do you got?
Yeah, Buffalo. So I went through a couple teams, and they all had pretty much the same strategy. They want to come out here with the one stop, soft to medium. But looking at what is happening right now out on track, we'll have to see if the race is going to be a wet race or a dry race. But Alpine, as always, they're trying to look to end this with a high, a 1 and 2, as they were saying, and I think we might see that. But now that it's raining, it is the great equalizer. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well put. Rain is the great equalizer here. I'm on right now with Chris Beemister, who looks like he's going to be the first one out of his that lap onto his hot lap, and we'll see what time he can put in for his first one on inters. Now, not a lot of practice in the rain, I know, for at least my team, but it's definitely something to take a little bit of lockup going into the Senna S, and this is a tricky turn. It can really make or break your Sector 1.
Yeah, super easy to exceed track limits there, especially in the wet. These conditions, as we see someone teleport in front of Chris right there, the wet conditions, he mentioned they were the great equalizer. In real life, I think that's definitely true. But in sim racing, we're all of completely different skill level, and I think it actually widens the field just a little bit. And I think we'll see that in this qualifying.
Yeah, very well could. Looks like Chris just coming up to maybe some traffic here at the end of Sector 2, and we'll see if that holds him out a little bit. But Johannes is also out on a hot lap coming off of a W for him, and he's looked really strong so far this season. So we'll see what Chris puts up, we'll see what Johannes puts up, and Ethan Patel, of course.
And in the meantime, we have 2 drivers already out of the session with Snoop and Connor. Don't quite know what's going on. Those are teammates, I believe, in the Williams garage, and I'm just curious to see what's going on down there.
Chris almost held up a little bit by the Alpha Tauri going into the pits. He puts up a 1:18.4. We'll hop on board with Johannes real quick, who is just finished up his Sector 2, and he's running purple. So currently he may be on pace to beat Chris as he's coming down the back straight. Dan Gouda just put in a 1:18.4. Wow, 2 thousandths ahead of his teammate Chris Beemister. Johannes across the line, and he's P1 by almost 2 seconds, a 1:16.6. That's exactly what we're talking about, OG. Sometimes that skill gap with the top guys like Johannes. Wow. And the reserve, Hudson.
Yep, Hudson Poole, he's a Red Bull reserve driver, putting up fantastic times in time trial, in practice. And, our team leader, Duncan McCamick, evaluated him as a potential Division 1 talent, and he's showcasing it right now with 2 tenths ahead of Johannes for the early stages of this qualifying.
On with Big Mama Frank, who, if I'm not mistaken, may have just been in a purple Sector 2 himself. He's coming across the line, and he's going to go P8 with a 1:18.4.
As another Brian Hackman retires, he's P4 in the driver's standings, and to keep that, you really wanted to qualify up high.
Yeah, that could be risky. We've seen 3 leave already. Something interesting though, OG, you and I have gotten familiar with Sid kind of qualifying late. He's out there already and already put a 1:17.1. So he went out early today. I wonder if he's looking for something different. Maybe he can bring home the win.
Yeah, he's been, having some different, difficult, unique qualifyings, and I think trying to get into a normal, consistent run will only help him out and maybe potentially give him better starts against Johannes. But in the meantime, Spanini, did you go ahead and talk to the Williams garage?
I did. So I got information on how they DNF'd. So it seems like Snoop Francis had a wheel technical issue, and it wasn't calibrated properly. So as he came out of the pits, he slammed into the wall, and he couldn't get his car to move. So for blocking the pits, he was disqualified. And Connor, his teammate, just gave it a little bit too much throttle and just lost it, and got DNF'd.
Tough early
So,
qualifying days so far for the Williams drivers. That's a tricky pit exit too, as we're on here with Cole, who looks to set his. Now, is he on an outlap, or looks like he might be on another heater here? He tries to improve on his 120.6, and he does. Puts in a 118.7. Sorry, but yeah, that pit exit here in Brazil can be a little bit tricky. And of course, you got the long straight at the end of it, so you have to maintain speed throughout the whole thing to maintain track position.
And I'm sure these guys aren't used to, leaving that pit exit in the wet either. So that certainly throws a wrench into things. Just as Johannes goes 1:15.9,
Wow.
absolutely rapid.
what a lap.
Fantastic lap by Johannes. I'm on with his teammate now, Ethan Patel, who just put in a purple Sector 2 himself. We'll see if he has enough time in the bag to try to beat Johannes. I wonder if the track conditions are improving as we're going out, because we've seen some lap times continuously improve. Trying to cut off as much of the track here, staying to the left side. And he puts in a 1:16.1. So once again, both Alpines looking like a front row lockout here about 5 minutes into quali.
Yeah, but you did mention, as the session goes on and you got now only 16 cars as Connor, Drip, Brian, and Snoop are out of the session. So 16 cars are driving over this, and so the line is only going to get drier and drier. So expect those times to come down. I expect those top 3, top 4, top 5 even to kind of stay the same, but I expect their times to drop.
On with Josh Barnsley, who has 3 laps so far on his inters. It looks like he's getting a couple bankers in, although at a pace of 1:17.2. That qualifies for a lot more than banker laps for much of the division. So he's about to finish up his Sector 2 here. He does improve by about 4/10. Coming in Sector 3, already sitting at P5. As it looks like a McLaren went around in Sector 2. Staying to the left, cutting off as much of the track as possible. Across the line. And he just improves a 1:16.6, but not before Sleek had went up and put up a P6 himself. So Alpine looking strong. Ferrari bunched up near the front as well.
Yeah, and we saw Ferrari had a great showing in the first race. Sleek and Sid were fighting for, I believe, P3. But in that second race, Sleek returned to his unfortunate Division 1 form. He's a great driver, fast driver, but he had a case of the drips and, just couldn't put it all together in that showcase last race. So he's hoping to improve upon that and go back to his race 1 form.
On with Cole real quick in the AlphaTauri, who puts up a 1:17.0. Good enough for P7, taken from Mr. Sanguda. Mercedes looking up in 8 and 9. And, well, the first 2 races of Mercedes haven't qualified spectacularly. Their racecraft has looked good. They've been able to salvage some pretty good points from questionable situations so far this season. So, they'll look to capitalize on that and maybe get more towards the front as the season evolves.
Yeah, Big Mama Frank was running in, I believe, 3rd or 4th place in Imola before an unfortunate incident, and Hudson Pool goes 15.2. That's 5/10 faster than P2 right now, Ethan Patel of 15.7. So they're just going to be trading blows back and forth for the rest of this quali. It's going to be super exciting to watch.
They are, man. I wonder, and while we were watching the middle of the field, Ethan Patel had beaten Johan by about 2/10 himself. Yeah, these lap times are getting faster and faster. I wonder if some drivers are going to think about slicks towards the end of the session.
Oh, I don't know. It depends on what kind of dry line forms, but you know, just looking at the sky, you know, there is some blue between those clouds, and you know, especially on a track like Brazil, you know, Brazil is similar to Singapore, in the way that the track dries really fast.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if it'll dry that fast, but you know, it'll definitely be close with 8 minutes left.
We're on with Sleek, who is just about 5/10 behind his time for Sector 2, so it'll be a challenge here for him to improve on this lap. Going into Garrett Elder, who's currently sitting in P5. He just sets a purple Sector 1. So it's going to be crucial for these guys to strategize the end of the session because the conditions are just getting more and more favorable and the lap times are going down significantly.
Yeah, and Garrett Elder in P5 right now, he's been having some technical issues with his equipment, you know, occasionally stuck in third gear, and hoping we're not seeing that right now. But he's been stuck in third gear for whatever reason, but he's put in a lot of effort. So is his Honda teammate, Cole. You know, they're different teams, Red Bull and AlphaTauri, but they're still very much teammates. They've been putting in a lot of work this week together.
Yeah, a lot of that. Well, he goes purple Sector 2, so not a lot of gear shifting problems there as he comes around the back straight, looking to improve on his time of 1:16.5. And he does, puts it in 1:15.9, good for the second row. I want to go to Johannes right now, who's setting up a hot lap right behind him. He's coming down the back stretch, looking to improve upon his 1:15.9. Maybe he can bump his teammate Ethan Patel out of the front row.
Yeah, I definitely think he can. You know, the track conditions, as we've noted 4 or 5 times now, are definitely improving. And, you know, that's 2 tenths. We've already seen Johannes drop 5 tenths and then 7 tenths and then probably a second this time. So, you know, they're just going to get faster and faster. I expect him to get close to or leapfrog Hudson Poole on this lap.
He just goes fastest sector overall, Sector 1. So this lap is like, oh, and he almost loses it a little bit there in Sector 2. Great car control, and that's what sets him apart, is even when he, like, that's a mistake for him, and he was just able to correct it immediately in tough conditions and get back.
You got to wonder if that'll cost him provisional pole position, though. You know, he did save it, and he was 3 tenths up, but I wonder what the outcome will be.
Yeah, we'll see here at the end of Sector 2 what type of delta he's looking at from his best.
Wow.
Wow. With that bobble, he still made up almost 7/10.
Yeah, this guy's, he's just unreal. He's quite the personality as well. You know, great driver, great personality. I don't know if anyone is aware of the shenanigans that happened last night, but, you know, Johannes, he's quite the guy.
Yeah, hails from Denmark. His English is fantastic, by the way. He was talking on the video about how he's trying to get better at it. Hey, sounded great to me, and OG, you called it. Johannes did leapfrog Hudson Poole for P1, but look at this. Cole is coming out on softs.
Wow. I think that's a little early.
It might
Track
be.
doesn't look dry enough yet for softs.
I wonder, Spanini, if he is coming out now with maybe a 4 or 5 lap fuel load, something a little bit higher. As it looks like there's a quick caution in Sector 2. A Mercedes around, perhaps? Maybe Mr. Sanduga just getting out of the way. But I'm curious to see what kind of grip Cole gets, as he's still the lone driver on softs. Although he's still in garage, so he hasn't gone out yet.
I think he's thinking about it. Definitely don't feel like the dry line is out yet. I think he's gonna have tire temperature problems.
I'm with Spanini on this one. You know, I think maybe 5 more minutes and we'd be seeing it. But I think it'll be really hard to use slicks on the current conditions.
Sid May went around in the grass there and quietly gets back on the track, and he's all of a sudden gotten on second row. He's running a 1:15.5, so he was able to creep up the leaderboard while we were peeping to see if Cole comes out on softs. On with Shaggy Muffin here, who just finished his first sector, 2 tenths in the green. Looks like he's
We have
got
a
pretty
lock
good
up
grip.
there.
Yeah, a little lock up.
One thing I want to point out is that Hudson and Ethan Pateller and Sleek are all on new, fresh intermediate tires. So we'll see what kind of times they can put down compared to these longer running intermediate tires.
Yeah, good point. If they just came out on fresh inters, then they don't really have time to pit for dries. So maybe they're kind of throwing in the towel on that regard and just put in their best wet lap they can.
Yeah, I think they're calling their shot right now. They're saying it's a wet track, it's going to stay a wet tire, and that's just how it is for the rest of the quality, I believe.
Shaggy Muffin looks like he lost a little bit of time in Sector 2, probably 4/10 total. He was 2/10 in the green, now 2/10 in the red. He'll have to make it up here in Sector 3, but it may be hard for him to jump from P6, and he just bails,
He just
goes
gives
into
up.
the
Yep.
pits.
Oh, he came in really fast into the pit limiter there.
He did come in
Yeah.
really fast. That'll be a warning for him in quali, but
Yeah.
yeah. He's trying to get out very quick.
Yeah. The good thing is, a lap time around here is just close to a minute in the dry, but in the wet, as you can see, it's going to be like a minute and a half. So we'll have to see if he has enough time to come back out.
Yeah. I'm with Sleek, who just following up a purple Sector 2. Let's see if he can jump from P7. He does, all the way up to P4, and now he's in the second row with teammate Sid at a 1:15.704.
Yeah, that is a good time. I think that proves right there that it's still a wet track.
No doubt.
Yeah, the Inters are performing very well.
But with a minute to go, I believe Hudson Poole is coming to the line, trying to dethrone Johannes for pole position. Will it happen? And it does.
Wow.
Provisional pole.
A
Barely.
1:14.9 in the rain. That is...
But Johannes is coming right behind him. We'll see what kind of time he puts up. And he can't take
Wow.
it. 1:14.93.
300.
I think they're both going to do one more lap.
They got one more in them.
Yeah.
I don't know, can they cross the line in time? Hudson may be able to.
Yeah, they'll just keep going, but I don't know. I don't know if I think Hudson has pole. I don't see Johannes stealing.
Yeah,
this from him just yet.
especially with the faster tires. I don't think Johannes can beat Hudson right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to cross the line. We'll see.
Oh,
Yeah, a little bit of slow going into there. Oh, almost lose it. A little bit out of the grass. That'll be it for
Little bit of
Johannes. So
frustration right there, yeah.
yeah, safe to say that Hudson Poole subbing in Red Bull reserve driver, Red Bull Academy rather, has locked up provisional pole. Well, maybe not provisional really anymore with a 1:14.9.
Yeah, I don't see anyone else out on track right now that's going for highlight. Maybe Sid and Sleek, both Ferraris, but I just don't see them contesting that 14.9.
Something to point out, just 2 minutes ago or so, we saw the Mercedes at the back of the pack, and now Sandunga has made his way up to P8 and Big Mama Frank at P10. Good recovery as Sid loses it into the grass.
Yep.
And if that was a hot lap, it is hot no more.
And
Yes, this is Todo Rivas.
well, you mentioned the Mercedes, and he came. What's going on, Toto?
Listen, so I just noticed that the mouse cursor in the middle of the screen is still there, and it's clearly blocking my driver's view. And so I don't know if that's intentional if you're trying to throw the race for Red Bull or Ferrari, but that mouse cursor in the middle of the stream was distracting my drivers, and we will be filing a protest. Yeah, so I mean, we're happy with a couple of guys in the top 11. We'd like them to be closer to the front, but man, Hudson Poole he's nuts. Like, where did this guy even come from? Duncan, I think, went and recruited a ringer because Cryptid was out this week, and so he wanted somebody to beat Johannes. And I mean, if you can't beat, hungover Johannes, I mean, why are you even here, right?
Exactly. What is Division 2 without beating hungover Johannes? Great insight, Toto.
So, yeah, we're expecting big things. We have really good strategy, great setups for both our guys. Learned a lot after watching the D3 race, and so we're really hoping to have a better result. Siggy did great. We had a few little mishaps in D3, but we're expecting Sandunga and Frank to make some big motion. Looking to have a better result this week for Dan Guda in the McLaren, and a lot of Mercedes power up near the front.
Now I do have a question regarding the setups. Are your drivers opting for a higher downforce or a lower downforce setup?
Yes.
So we got a mixed bag. Any insight on, in particular, your two Mercedes drivers, Big Mama Frank and Mr. Sandunga?
So, so with those two particularly, they do like a little bit more downforce because they want to maintain the grip, and so it's all dependent on what the track's going to be. So in a situation like this, the lower downforce is going to slow you down in the wet, but once you get to the dry, it's going to be a lot faster. So a lot of the drivers we see in positions now, depending on their setup, they're going to be a lot faster in the dry. And so we're hoping, we're planning for, based on the forecast, a dry race. And so we sacrifice a little bit in qualifying for a better race setup.
Sounds like a plan, Toto. Wishing the best for your drivers, all of them, Mercedes, McLaren, every single one you can think of, Williams. You got a lot of teams under your belt.
It's a lot to deal with, but big, broad shoulders can handle a lot of responsibility. So we'll head back to the garage. Thank you, guys.
All right, see you, Toto.
Great intel from Toto Rivas. To recap here, Hudson Poole on pole, Johannes Ludwig with the Alpine makes up the front row. Sid, P3, Ethan Patel, P4, Sleek with the Ferrari, P5, Garrett Elder, Shaggy Muffin, locking up row 3 at 6 and 7, followed by Mr. Sandunga, Josh Barnsley, Chris B. Mister, Big Mama Frank, P11.
So one thing to point out here is if it's going to be a dry race, everyone has their own selection of tires. So we'll see what kind of strategies they'll pull out now, because qualifying was a heavy impact on what they would want to do in the actual race. So we'll see. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone might start on softs, but the medium to soft strategy worked well. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we saw a couple two stops in Division 3 as well. And it was influenced slightly by a safety car, but I know some members of my team were even thinking about a soft, medium, soft two stop. But right, you have free tire choice here, so if the front runners can start on mediums and try to make those last till lap 24, 23, 24, then you can probably get away with a two stop, because OG, with that smaller fuel load towards the end of the race, the softs can last 12 plus laps.
Yeah, I had my softs on for, I want to say, about 18 laps. And granted, we were under safety car for a little bit, so you can chalk it up to 15 racing laps. And I finished the race with 35% 40 tires. And so the softs, especially on those lower fuel loads, definitely feel good. They last a long time. And so that long medium stint, and you can honestly do a long soft stint, will work wonders. You can really do anything on this track.
As the drivers begin their formation lap into the Senna S, Hudson Poole, first race here, a Zoom Racing lead on pole, ahead of Johannes, Division 2 wonder. And I think we're set up for a lot of talent here in the front of this race. We'll see them go. Strategy will be interesting.
Yeah, the talent, it's absolutely loaded. Going through the top 10, it's just exploding with talent. And even outside the top 10, you got Big Mom Frank, Dan Good at NVA. He's extremely fast, and showcased it in Division 3 and in Division 2. He's just not found his form just yet, but he's extremely fast. Florida and Cole, I expect Cole to make a great leap this race from 14th to potentially, I'm going to call it, in the top 8. So you got great drivers all throughout the field, and it's bound to be an exciting race.
Yeah, we'll go on here with Ethan Patel to start, see if we can catch some action here going into turn 1 upon race start. But Spoonini, who do you think could be some big movers here early on as far as the midfield, maybe moving up to the front?
I honestly agree with OG. I think Cole is going to make a lot of ground at the beginning. He's been very fast on the dry during practice sessions, so I think he's really going to be a winner out of this.
Yeah, noticing something here too. Aside from Hudson, are all the Red Bulls on mediums to start?
I think so.
That alternate medium strategy is great. Another driver on that strategy is Snoop Francis. He's starting on the mediums. Starting in P20, he has nothing to lose. I think, that's another driver I forgot to mention earlier that is looking to have an exciting race. Great recovery from P20. Starting on those mediums, I think he's going to do great.
Yeah, I look for him to cut through the field as well. See if Williams can have a stronger showing. I believe they're the only constructor currently with 0 points, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on. And away we go, heading into turn 1. It's Hudson first, Johannes coming on the inside, Sid on the outside. We're on with Ethan Patel. That's turn 1, then goes single file. Ethan Patel on the inside of Sid. And Hudson Poole retains P1 through turns 1, 2, and 3. A little bit of ERS from Ethan Patel, and we'll see if he tries to make a move on Sid early in Sector 1.
And then right behind him, Mr. Sandunga had a beautiful move on Sleek, and he's right on Ethan Patel, you know, right behind him now, looking to strike when Ethan and Sid clash. And Mr. Sandunga is in a great position right now.
He is, and I bet that was because of those soft tires against the mediums of the Red Bull. He was able to get that jump. Starting to move into single file here, but yeah, once DRS kicks in, I think Sandunga will be in a great position, and we'll see if Shaggy Muffin and Garrett Elder can hold pace long enough with those softs to make their tire choice worth it early on.
As towards the back of the grid right there, there's contact between Brian Hackerman and Drip. You know, the back 5, 10, not 5, but 5 or 6 back towards the grid. There's, you know, 3 people off track. You know, a lot of chaos in those back few positions.
Yeah, big movers I want to point out. Mr. Sandunga and Connor, both of them moved up 3 positions, while actually Cole dropped 2 positions off the start.
Yeah, not the start. AlphaTauri wanted from Cole, but he is on the mediums. He's going long. You know, we got, what, 35 laps left? You know, it's a long, long race, and I expect him to pull out in the end. As Chris is away in Sector 1, Turn 2, there's contact between Florida and Cole right there. That was a bit chaotic. So, yeah, this is a chaotic race so far.
Yeah, a little bit of chaos there in the back, and while we're following all of that, it looks like Johannes and Hudson have built almost a 2-second gap between Sid, Johannes with 1.3 seconds himself, so some talent separating themselves early on in the front. Ethan Patel still in DRS range of Sid, but he's also separating himself from Mr. Sandunga, who had that great start. So I hope that he can retain that and still use his soft tire strategy to stay ahead of the Red Bulls.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling how far ahead Johannes and Hudson have pulled away so far, considering there is no DRS to pull anyone along just yet, and they're 2.5 seconds or 2 seconds up on Sid and 3 seconds up on Ethan, who are both fantastic and great drivers.
Yeah, we are seeing a little bit of those medium tire runners struggle a little bit. We saw Brian Hackerman pass Florida and Cole pretty much with ease. DRS enabled on this lap. We'll see if Johannes tries to make a move on Hudson here. Does he have enough? He's used quite a bit of battery to keep pace with Hudson so far. This will be interesting. Brazil is a very hard track to maintain positive ERS in. You have to manage your battery very effectively. And
oh no!
Oh, looks like Big Mama Frank with an incident.
Yeah, he's out at the first DRS straight in Sector 1. I don't know if he was squeezed to the side or maybe just lost traction somehow, but there's a VSC out for that. And, you know, after, you know, Toto Rivas saying that his guys are coming in great, he may have jinxed him a little bit as Big Mama Frank is out of the race.
Unfortunate. Yeah, we saw Chris slowing down there too to avoid some debris, so he'll try to make up some time under the VSC. So perhaps this is good for Sid, right? That gap was opening up a lot between Hudson and Johannes and him. He was starting to fall significantly out of DRS range, so he could be a big winner here out of this VSC. And too early, though, to adjust strategy, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, but we did note that, you know, the tires can go a long time. I agree, it's way too early. But, you know, those guys in the back, you got like Drip, Snoop, or Chris, you know, they're at the very back right now, and as the VSC did end, I wouldn't have been surprised if we saw someone go in for the hards. As Dan Gouda did go ahead and pit, and I wonder what tire he's going to end up on.
Yeah, that may have been for damage. I'm not sure if he got any in any of that fray before, but really unfortunate timing for the VSC to end for Sid as he falls back almost 2 seconds, and Ethan Patel pressuring him in the middle of Sector 2. We'll see if he can start to put pressure on Sid up in the backstretch in that DRS zone.
Well, we wait for them to make some moves. Manini, do you have any information on Big Mama Frank in the Mercedes garage?
I do. I just talked to Big Mama Frank. So apparently they were fighting down the DRS straight after turn 2 and 3. He was wheel banging with NVA, and it turns out that he just got too close to a wall and got spun out. So that might be under review after the race to see if there's any penalties that need to be handed out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's a little bit of conflict of interest there. You know, NBA is a steward. Now, I don't think he'll be stewarding Division 2, but maybe his boys will have his back. I don't know. I don't want to say the stewards are corrupt or anything, but I have seen some things.
As we talk about NVA stewarding responsibility, he just sets a purple Sector 3 on his last lap and goes past Garrett Elder. OG Spunini, we're seeing those mediums struggle early on as we see them kind of fall towards the back of the pack. You know, I wonder, just as I say that Garrett Elder with DRS comes back and takes a position from NVA, so they're jockeying back and forth here.
Yeah, no, the softs will be, you know, on fire. They'll be great for those first 10 laps, but you know, I was a medium compound runner in the Division 3 race, and I noted that, you know, I was getting kind of washed in the first 10 laps. On lap 10 or lap 11, it was immediate. The switch felt real, and I was just catching up on them. So these medium compound runners only have to stay within the fight for about 5-6 more laps before, you know, they start feeling faster than the rest.
Yeah, that seems
Yeah,
to
and
be
at the same time, you'll see like the cars are really heavy right now. They're under fuel load. So as the race continues and the softs degrade, the mediums will also get into a better shape while being a lighter car.
Yep.
So
great point. Yeah, those soft tires are certainly getting a little bit more wear here as Florida goes in to the pits. He may have damage. He may also be serving that 5-second penalty that we saw him get here as Cole looks to maybe put some pressure on Drip. He should be within DRS range, but we'll see if those medium tires can carry him. We're 6 laps in. And not enough to get Drip there, but we'll see if the quality of the soft tires is backtracked towards a medium enough for him to put some pressure. And while we're talking back here, it looks like Johannes is starting to put some pressure on Hudson. He will most certainly be in DRS range coming down the back stretch as they look to enter Sector 3 here. A lot of pressure
Snoop
from Johannes.
Francis is retired. So there's 2 drivers out, 2 Mercedes-powered vehicles out of the race so far. I know we had a couple Snoop Francis fans in the chat. You know, you feel for them. But right now we got more important things. Hudson and Johannes battling it out as they go through Sector 1, Turn 1. The Senna S's coming through. Johannes will have DRS again, but, you know, I think this might be a setup difference with Hudson maybe having lower wings, because he seems to be, you know, going faster than Johannes relative to DRS. You know, I think Johannes is getting closer in Sector 2, but Hudson is pulling away in Sectors 1 and 3.
Yeah, he is looking pretty quick here. Yeah, and it'll be hard for Johannes to try to gain that. We'll see how that's affected later on too with the lighter fuel loads, if that lack of downforce increases the gap in straight line speed even more. So he should be within DRS range again coming down the back stretch. They're going to finish up Sector 2 here.
And this
Hudson
is a
goes
hard
off a
turn
little
right here.
bit. This is a hard turn of time. It keeps it nice and tidy here. Going into Sector 3 backstretch. Little bit of battery usage on Johannes, but he's managed that very well so far. Right on the butt of Hudson. He tries to go inside. Cut off. Hudson defends very nicely. Goes back inside again. Hudson taking the outside racing line in turn 1. And Johannes makes the pass enough to get the outside line into the Senna S's. And he's in good position here coming across 2, 3, and into the back stretch. We'll see if Hudson can make a move here with DRS.
Yeah, now you got to watch out. We mentioned that setup. You know, Hudson's a little bit faster in the straight line, and he's going to take it right back from Johannes on the second DRS straight. And I feel like this is going to be the story of the race. You know, as there's another VSC, I believe that's Chris B-Mister. He's out of the race as well.
Yeah, issue with the McLarens. I saw a Haas go into the pots as well, into the pits as well. I don't know if NVA was involved in that incident at all, but tough day so far for the Mercedes team as they're looking at three DNFs already and our second VSC.
Yeah, so 3 DNFs, and that second DNF, Snoop Francis, you know, in the Williams garage. Spanini, you spoke to him, correct?
Yep. So it looks like Snoop Francis spun out sometime before that, or like right after that virtual safety car earlier, and his tires were just too hot, and he didn't take it into account, and he decided to just retire it from the race and the pit stops.
Just felt like not driving on in this race anymore. Too frustrating. I understand that feeling, but you know, now Toto Rivas, he's going to be breathing down his neck. We got 3 Mercedes-powered units already out of the race, and we're only 8 laps in.
Yeah, tire wear is something you really have to pay attention to on this track. The one-stop is you have to manage your tires to make the one-stop work, and as a result, you're going to have usually a little bit higher temperature tires depending on setup regardless. So after that spin out, I can only imagine the difficulty that Snoop Francis had, trying to maintain control of the car.
Yeah, once these tires get hot here, they stay hot. The only way I think you're gonna cool them down is by diving into the grass, but you're gonna lose so much time as we go green here. And Hudson, gets a little bit better start than Johannes. He's pulling a tiny bit of a gap so far, and Sid's, right behind Johannes at this point.
Sid is right behind Johannes, and it looks like him and Ethan Patel were big winners over the VSC. They were able to make up a little bit of that gap. I think, it was probably aided by Hudson and Johannes fighting a little bit too, jockeying for position, but now they're right back in the thick of it, and I wonder if we'll see a DRS train form here in P1 through 4.
And we're going to go down to our sideline reporter just for a little bit. Spanini, did you just talk to Chris B, mister?
I did. So apparently Chris was coming on the main straight, and NVA was spun out, and he was re-entering the track, and it looked like he just startled Chris a little too much, and he just lost it on the straight. So I think they're gonna look back at that too, and NVA is looking like he's not not in a very good spot right now from all the comments that everyone has given.
That's
Top day.
Two things on NVA, and we're gonna go ahead and blame NVA for Snoop Francis' tires as well, just for the hell of it. Really, it just makes too much sense.
Yeah. Boy, you guys are talking about that. We saw once again how that may be a setup difference between Hudson, because Johannes had DRS, and we're just not making up the type of ground that Hudson was able to make up when he had DRS. So I think straight line speed is certainly a thing, as it looks like there's someone else around. Connor is around in Sector 2.
And that's a real safety car, full on.
And it looks like he has DNF'd.
I'd go into the pits. Go for mediums.
Yeah, lap 10 seems like that, and they may, and we see the front runners do just that. Now 26 on mediums. Do you guys think that's something? Are they going to try to go to the end here?
Yes, I think you 100% go to the end. I did a lot of simulations. Some people are going on the hards. Johannes is actually on the hard, so he's looking to strike towards the end of that race. He's not going to be fast right now, but I did some simulations throughout the week, and I found that 26 laps on the mediums can definitely make it, as Shaggy Muffin inherits the lead right in front of Garrett Elder, who both have elected not to pit. Maybe they're in favor of another safety car. They've seen the chaos that has ensued so far. They see, that there's a couple drivers on track that maybe shouldn't be on track right now, just because tires are hot. They've crashed a couple times. Wings might be damaged. They're sensing another safety car soon. But yeah, 26 laps on the mediums is definitely possible, and 26 laps on the hards is definitely possible.
Yeah, Johannes, the only driver to elect hard tires, actually no, scratch that, except for Sleek in the Ferrari, currently in P12. So Hudson did come out 2 places ahead of Johannes, and he's on fresh mediums. So, that turning point is going to be key towards the end of the race. If there's another safety car and Hudson builds up the lead with mediums, we may see him go in. But, we know how Johannes can manage tires and maintain speed throughout the duration of a 50% race. Interesting strategy call.
And Spanini, it feels like we've been sending you to the Williams garage over and over in quali, and then at the start of the race, and this. So this is your last time in the Williams garage, as all the drivers are out. What was their reaction? What were they saying? What are their thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they hate me now because I think I just jinxed them. But looks like Connor was just going through turn 4, and he just took too much curb, and the car got unsettled, and he just lost it after that. But yeah, the Williams garage is pretty disappointed right now, and they're also not pretty looking forward to next week's track at Japan. So they hope they can do better, of course, than what they did today. But yeah, they definitely have their heads down right now.
Yeah, tough day out of the Williams garage, and we're seeing what may be the last lap of the safety car here on lap 12. Top 3 right now: Shaggy Muffin, Garrett Elder, Josh Barnsley, all stayed out on 11-lap old medium. So you got to think with that strategy decision that they were planning on doing the one-stop medium to soft, and we're hoping to gain track position here. But with Hudson right on their butt in P4, I don't know if he's going to be a P4 for long.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's on those fresh mediums. He's definitely gonna, you know, get past them, I think. And I think, you know, they'll probably pit, if they're not pitting now, if there's not another safety car, they'll probably pit in around 10 to 12 laps. So he may not be super instant that he passes them, but eventually he will get there.
Unless I missed it, doesn't... Oh, there it is. Okay, safety car in this lap, so we're going to go green here. We're on with Hudson in the fresh medium, so we'll try to make up ground to the P1, 2, and 3. Shaggy Muffin and Garrett Elder, I'm sure, team communicating here on the restart.
In Buffalo, we're getting word from our technical director. If you would just go ahead and press F1 to hide that spectator menu. Just word from the head of the corporation there.
Appreciate them always looking out. As here on the restart, Shaggy Muffin gets a great start. Gallagher doing a good job so far holding off Josh Barnsley. A little bit of desync there. Looked like could be dangerous for Hudson, but so far he maintains his ground. Hudson looks to pass on the Senna S's into P3. Right now he's on the back of both Red Bulls. He's going to have DRS, actually no, scratch that, in 3 laps. But already with that straight line speed, you can see the difference. And he's trying to encroach on the Red Bulls here. He's going to get a better exit here coming out of 5. Josh Barnsley already behind by a second. It looks like maybe an incident here. Nope, just Alex falling down 2 spots. One to Ethan Patel, of course, on the fresh tires. Sid as well on the softs has made up some ground on his fresh set.
And you know, towards the back of the grid there, they were going 3 wide down that first DRS straight, and you know they were lucky that there were no incidents. But you know, these guys are just, it just goes to show their talent, their racecraft, and their ability to stay alive.
Yeah, it's just amazing. See, Hudson right on the butt of Garrett Elder, makes the pass easily with DRS and a little bit of ERS as he's going to encroach on Shaggy Muffin here. He's already making up a little bit of ground. He should be in play to get DRS in Sector 1. See how much ground he can make up here on the exits of 1 and 2. Gotta use that extra grip here. It looks like he's definitely going to be within range. He almost made up 2/10 in that little S. But he doesn't get it.
This guy's unreal. Super fast right now. There's a yellow in Sector 1, and that is Mr. Sandunga at the back right now. So Mercedes not doing so hot at the current time.
Put a little spin out here. Josh Barnsley maybe feeling the oldness of his 13-lap mediums. Ethan Patel passes him. And the Alpines are on a charge as well. Johannes on the hards, Ethan Patel on the mediums, both 2 laps old. Will try to put some pressure on Sid, but he's on pretty fresh softs himself. So right now he might look pretty safe in P4. We'll see. He's trying to put pressure on the Red Bulls.
Yeah, he's on fresh softs. I'm really curious to see, because he started on the softs.
He did.
So I don't know if going to another set of softs, he's banking on another safety car. I just don't know if I would have pitted to new softs.
I'm not sure. He comes down the inside, makes the pass with DRS and ERS. He'll take up P3. And right on the butt of Hudson Poole coming into turn 1, who's putting a lot of pressure on the Red Bull of Shaggy Muffin.
And right now, if you're Johannes and you're on the hards, you're begging Sid to do everything you can to use those softs and get in front of Hudson. Hold him up as best you can once your softs kind of die down a little bit, because Johannes needs to get back in the fray if he wants to win this race.
Yeah, he certainly does. It looks like he's got within 1 second of Garrett Elder here, so I was kind of looking to see how easy it would be for him to get in DRS range of some of these guys, but he's maintaining pace on fresh hards, very well.
Yeah, and those hards are only going to get better as the race goes on, especially towards the end. The last 5 laps or so, he should be lapping much faster than Hudson, who is his main rival at this point. But yeah, no, if he's holding his own right now, towards the end of the race, he's going to be flying.
Sid takes P3 at the end of Sector 2. His fresh softs doing some work. He's going to try to make up some ground on Hudson's, who again has had incredible pace, but he's already made just about a second gap from Garrett Elder, so although his DRS is bringing him back in range for the potential to use it in Sector 1. We'll see what types of exits Sid can get out of there.
And Sid's got a very finite, I guess they both do have finite laps until their tires wear off, but Sid is coming closer. Obviously with only 4 laps old, they're not near that point just yet. but he's got to make his move relatively fast, or Hudson will just pull away with his better tires.
Yeah, I'm glad we were on board with Garrett Elder there. We saw Johannes make an incredible pass, again, on hards, on the inside, and he finds himself in P3, and he's going to go to the end.
Yeah, so it's going to be super close, I think, at the end between Hudson and Johannes. Potentially Sid if there is another late safety car, or really any safety car. I wonder what the strategy will be for those top three. You know, Johannes is on the hards, but if there's a safety car, what do you do? Do you go on to the mediums? Do you go on to the softs?
Yeah, maybe you kind of play follow the leader, right? Maybe if you're Johannes and you see Hudson go in for fresh softs, maybe you follow him in and just try to straight race. As Sid puts up a fastest lap of 109.3, we're on with Ethan Patel, who takes P4 from Garrett Elder. He's going into turn 1, and the Alpines find themselves P3 and P4, once again in a position to take the front row of this race.
Yeah, so there's his teammate, Ethan Patel. You know, we haven't spoken a lot about him this race so far. He had pretty good qualifying. You know, he's kind of fixed his woes from the previous season where he didn't qualify so great. And he's worked on that a lot over the offseason, and he showcased it here. And he's showcasing he's a great talent up into P4 up behind 3 extremely fast guys.
Yeah. While we're talking about the front runners, Dan Guda has made a charge up the field. He pitted at an odd time due to some damage. Got on fresh softs while they were fresh at the time. They're now 12 laps old. He just passed both Alfa Romeos, one on older mediums, one on newer, and he's showing some incredible pace. He's up into P7 so far.
Yeah, he's the Mercedes hope right now with Mr. Standunga spinning out just a while ago up into P13. Danguda is with the Mercedes power unit. Their final hope at the moment, P7.
Yeah, we're on with Sleek on the 5-lap hards. He's trying to maintain pace with Josh on the old mediums. He's got DRS. It looks like he's going to be able to keep up with that pack. And of course, he'll be going to the end. So we'll see him make up spots on the likes of Garrett Elder, Shaggy Muffin, Josh Barnsley when they come in. And of course, Dan Guda on the 13-lap old softs. Should be coming in any minute. And while we were chatting about that, Sid has taken the lead from Hudson. So really using those soft tires to his benefit, he is sitting in P1. Hudson still in a position to get DRS along the back straight of Sector 3. Should he be able to maintain this gap?
But this is huge right now. There's a back marker in front of Sid. If Sid can get DRS from that guy, I believe that's NBA, then it'll be huge to holding off Hudson for these next 2 DRS straights. But if he doesn't get DRS, then I believe Hudson will take the lead again at this straight.
Yeah, he showed a lot of straight speed.
Sid did not get it, but he had, the better exit right there. He's like way further ahead than he was. But, Johannes on those hards is falling back quite a bit.
Yeah, he has fallen back a little bit. Almost a 3-second gap now forming. But look, at least Sid's got to pit again, right? And, as that gap expands, though, this is where Hudson needs to use as much pace as possible. Because, if Johannes can keep that gap to 3, as NVA spun around, incident there.
Not a great day for NVA.
Luckily, he ghosted, and no, not a good day for NVA.
And he retires.
First Ferrari retirement of the day.
Now, will this bring out the safety car is the real question here.
Yeah, I mean, he was right in the middle of track.
That's a good... Oh, so they like not to bring out the safety car. I think Spanini was onto something right there. I think they could have and maybe should have brought the safety car out. That's a dangerous part of the track. People are coming in at relatively high speeds right there. I don't know. I feel like safety car should have been called.
Yeah, interesting decision there too. Yeah, as we see Hudson come in with DRS, try to make up some more ground on Sid, but only 15 drivers remaining here, and we're a little bit over halfway of this race, so carnage early in D2. A lot of guys not making it to the end.
Yeah, it's not something you normally expect from Division 2, but then when you take into account, these guys are quite a bit more aggressive than Division 3, not in just a, balls to the wall aggression, but like a more calculated aggression.
Mm-hmm.
It can lead to a little bit some mistakes. They're fighting a lot harder than I think we do in Division 3, and you're witnessing that with 5 DNFs.
Yeah, they're certainly able to push the cars further to the limit than we are right in D3. And sometimes you see a little bit like that because a mistake when you're pushing that hard is almost worth a little bit more, right? You see that Ferrari's bunched up here, 7, 8, 9, 10, all running Ferrari power units. And Josh trying to make those 19-lap-old mediums work. He'll think about pitting for softs probably soon and try to make up some ground.
You know, if I'm Josh, I'm probably pitting lap 23 or so.
Yeah.
So a couple more laps, and he goes in right
He's
now.
gonna come in now.
So he's gonna spend 14 laps on these softs. I would have waited just a couple more laps, but it is what it is. Sid's still in the lead. But
Sid's still in the lead. Josh pitting for softs. He'll make it to the end as we see Dan Guda, who's fallen from P7 to P12. Oh, that's because he pit. So he's on medium, so he'll go to the end. But it looks like Alex with DRS is going to pass him on the outside into turn 1.
a little bit of contact, I think. You know, I don't think there's damage from there, but Dan Guda, his right wing, you know, hit Alex's back leg, or wheel, sorry. And there may have been a little bit of contact right there, but Dan Guda takes the position right back from him. And it'll be interesting to see how this fight, you know, turns out with, you know, Dan Guda, Alex, Josh, and Drip all relatively close together.
Yeah, so there are a couple drivers up towards the front that still probably have to pit at least once more. Of course, Garrett Elder and Shaggy Muffin on the 20-lap old medium. Sid, of course, in the lead on those softs. Will definitely be a challenge to get to the end. So I'm kind of looking for Dan Guda and Alex, who just pitted on the mediums, will make it to the end. You know, maybe they can get a solid top 10 finish out of here if they can maintain pace and track position as, you know, kind of the other guys come in for their last stop. Garrett Elder comes in for his, so we can assume maybe Shaggy Muffin, if they're on a really similar strategy, is going to try to come in next lap.
Yeah, no, I believe Shaggy will come in a couple laps. Excuse me. You know, he's on 21 lap old mediums. You know, it's either time or it's getting close to time. But I don't know. You know, I really don't know if they're banking on a super late safety car. They may stretch it out even more. But you're in P5 right now. I would probably pit and try to get on those softs and take back my positions.
Yeah. Sid
I'm interested to see how Johannes will do as his race carries on, as he is on the hard tire. But there's already a 4-second gap between Hudson and Johannes. But we need to really see if those hards will actually come to life as the final 10 laps come into play.
And I just don't see it happening. You know, that's a large gap, and you know, with a driver like Hudson, you know, he's proven he's very fast, and you know, drivers like that aren't just normally just fast. They normally have great tire management, great mental, great racecraft, and so I'm assuming he's managing those mediums perfectly, or as well as he can. And so I just don't see Johannes getting within that 4-second gap and being able to overtake it, because that's a big gap.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of ground to make up. I mean, you're talking about almost 5 seconds now to somebody who's shown he's the fastest driver currently on this track. Although Josh Barnsley just put in the fastest lap on his fresh softs. I think it was a 108.6 if I'm not mistaken. And we see Brian Hockman putting a lot of pressure on Sleek. He's on 11-lap old mediums, putting pressure on 11-lap old hards. But he went off a little bit there going into turn 15. He'll try to use some ERS to make up that ground on the back stretch. And Sid goes in for mediums. So he's going to go to the end. We'll see where Sid comes out here. He's going to come out past the Alfa Romeos. We'll see if he can get in front of Florida. Oh, Florida has pitted as well. So Sid's going to come out in P6.
And what, 18 seconds behind the leader?
Yeah, that's a lot of time to make up on some quick guys in 12 laps.
Yeah, that's...
Now, there could be some team stuff at play, right? You see Sleek up there in P4 with the 12-lap old Hearts. He's got a little bit of penalties. Brian Hackman in the Alfa Romeo. So I'm 99% sure that they are communicating on a little bit of strategy. And if Sid is in a position to put some pressure on the podium spots, They might allow him to do it.
Yeah, I mean, but 18 seconds, he's, what, 3 seconds off Brian, 4 seconds off Sleek, but 10 seconds off Ethan. I just don't see, he's going to have to put in, you know, lap after lap to get within those top 3 positions, because that's quite the distance.
Sid will have to put in some work. We've definitely seen it before, though. Mr. Sanduga sitting here in P11 trying to push some pressure on Alex in P10. He's on old mediums, though, as well, so we may see Mr. Sanduga come in for one more stop before this race is over.
Yeah, but, you know, I just don't think it's worth potentially losing, what is that, 4 positions. If I'm Sandunga and he does go ahead and pit, I personally would have stayed out again, but, you know, he's going on to the softs and trying to just fly home.
Yeah. Field starting to separate out a little bit here. We have Hudson in the lead after Sid had, of course, pit. He's on 13 lap old mediums and will look to make it in the end. Johannes on 13 lap hards. He'll look to make it in the end. That gap has maybe decreased a little bit, maybe about 3/10 since we were discussing it last, if I'm not mistaken. And then 4.5
Yeah,
seconds
earlier I
for
saw
Johannes.
that the gap was at 5 seconds and it dropped to 4.4 now. So
There you go.
maybe
Yeah, he's-
Johannes is making progress with those hards.
If he's already making that sort of progress, and there's 10 laps to go, he may be the favorite to take this race home now.
I just don't see it. You know, we mentioned the setup differences earlier, and Hudson had the speed to stay away from him, even though Johannes had DRS, and I expect that trend to continue if he gets within DRS. I think Hudson has got this race in the bag, barring any sort of crazy crash or mistake.
Josh Barnsley up in the P8 on his fresh soft tires, passes the Red Bull of Garrett Elder, both of course making it to the end. And Garrett Elder with DRS trying to put some pressure on Josh. Josh defends towards the outside, maintains position.
You know, Josh and Brian Hackman, you know, they're in the Alfa Romeo, so you know, not great expectations, but you know, they proved their worth and proved that the Alfa Romeo is nothing to be taken lightly. They put in great performances, you know, week after week, some great recovery drives, some great flat-out drives, great qualifying. You know, they've really done a great job so far this season.
Yeah, they have good consistent performances, good strong points finishes, and Brian's putting some pressure on Sleek here. And I think that, you know, we're looking at the medium hard tire battle between Hudson and Johannes, as that gap is now 4 seconds. But Sleek and Brian may have a particular battle here as well.
Yeah, you know, Brian, I know Brian's great friends with Josh, but you know, everyone, if you're in the Ferrari Academy, you want to be in that Ferrari. Maybe Brian's trying to shove it to the man, show him he belongs
Could be.
in the Italian team or the Ferrari. You know, so
Josh
4
and
seconds
Garrett.
flat.
Yeah, that gap, now it's just under 4 seconds. Josh and Garrett have been jostling for position here for about 2 laps. They're separating themselves from the field, from Shaggy Muffin in P7, as they keep fighting back and forth. We were just talking about Mr. Sandunga, who had pitted, and we were kind of not questioning that decision, but trying to do some more research into it. He's just put the fastest lap of the racing so far.
Yeah, 108.7. That's super fast, especially in a race. You know, the rest of the guys are running in the 109s, and obviously he pitted for that, but still fast nonetheless.
And so I wonder what type of orders we see here for Sid on the fresher mediums, of course, with Sleek and Brian here, because he's already encroaching on DRS range. And well, even though Brian has DRS, you could see him gaining some ground there. I mean, it's gonna, and he gets good turn in there on that. Brian goes a little bit wide.
And he picks up a 3-second time penalty, which is huge.
Sid penalty free so far, so yeah, that may factor into team orders here. We'll see.
And Ethan Patel, Sleek, and Brian all have penalties and Sid is penalty free at the moment. And so, you know, don't be surprised if you see Sid go from 6th to 3rd place just from penalties alone.
Yeah, that's certainly in the cards, and he might get there on total merit too. I mean, that gap is shrinking significantly, and we see We're on with Johannes now too. That gap is now
It's yes.
3.2 and shrinking very fast.
So yeah, basically 3. So maybe I called it too early. I'm gonna stick by my guns though. As Sid does get past Brian, that may have been a little bit of team orders right there. Johannes making, what was it? 1 lap ago was 4.
Yeah,
So-
he's starting to gain some time here. I wonder if those mediums are starting to struggle for Hudson. Let's get on board with him for a little bit and see if he can still get some good grip out of those tires. I mean, 17 lap old though should still be in a good range for that tire.
Hudson does have 70 ERS. Johannes still managing his ERS magnificently. He's at about 45-50. And so while Hudson does have a little bit more, it's not like a crazy difference. So yeah, I just think those tires, they're
Yeah.
not as good as I thought they were.
And you look at the talent level too. I mean, we're looking at Ethan Patel in P3, who's an outstanding driver. As caution on the first
Sandunga's-
DRS zone, Sandunga's around.
If this is a safety car, this is
Wow.
massive. Wow. So Ethan Patel
Wow.
goes into pits, and he's going to get fresh softs. Mr. Sandunga, basically all the Mercedes are out right now. You have a couple Aston Martins and a McLaren, and that's it. But yeah, that's insane what just happened.
That's huge. Now, I'm predicting that Hudson goes in for softs, and then Johannes has to follow him.
Yeah, dude, it's you have to. You almost have to. Ethan Patel pit onto the fresh softs, but he kind of got screwed over. He got held up. He was the first one to go into the pits, but he got held up as cars were passing by, and so Brian Hackman's in front of him, Sid's in front of him, but they really shouldn't be, and that really screwed up a potential Ethan Patel win.
Yeah, this is interesting because now Sid is on fresh softs as Josh picks up a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. Sid is on fresh softs and could effectively have the lead of this race if Hudson and Johannes go in. Sitting in P5, he'll be on the freshest tires by a mile if they stay out, and he'll have the actual lead of the race if they all go in.
So
And
they
Hudson goes
both
in.
decide to go in, both of them. And they have quite a sizable gap to the rest, so it'll be interesting to see if they come out on top. As these other guys, it is a safety car, so they're going a lot slower than normal.
Ooh! Wow, we were on with Sid there, and it looked like there was not a miscommunication, but I don't know if Josh was trying to let him pass, or the delta is weird here too, right? So sometimes it's hard to maintain ground, but they're going to come out in front of Sid.
Yeah, that just having to be so slow under the safety car really hurt them. I mean,
Yeah.
all these drivers are going to be on the same tire now, so it's just going to be a bloodbath. But no one leapfrogged really anyone aside from Ethan Patel getting the short end of the stick.
As Hudson Poole is awarded a 5-second penalty for a collision with Cole.
That's his teammate too. But he's a lapped car. He should be ghosted. I expect that to, get dismissed under the stewards. They're throwing that one away. But that is, that's your teammate. You got to avoid him, even though you're a lapped car. That's just a really bizarre scenario.
Like, you're in a position to give him dirty air. I mean, no, yeah, I totally agree. You got to get out of the way. But, we do see a lot of those kind of severe collision penalties under the safety car get removed because they can be questionable due to the game. So we're looking at, pretty much just a kind of duel to the end here, right? Look
Yeah,
at the
duel
top
to the end.
10, top 13, all on fresh softs except for Josh on 9-lap old softs.
And Josh is really gonna feel that with Sid, Sleek, and Ethan all behind him on fresh off. And that's just capping it right there. You got Shaggy, Garrett, Brian, Florida, Alex. Literally everyone except for Josh is on brand new tires.
I mean, OG, we're essentially running this as a 5-lapper, right? We
Oh,
see
yeah.
Cole go into the pits as well. Looks like he might be trying to serve some of his penalties. As he gets another 5-second
Yes, no,
penalty
it cancels out right there.
for speeding in a pit lane. So we're going to have a 5-lap shootout here. All these guys, well, most of them on fresh tires. And I think we might see some action.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
just came out of the Mercedes garage after talking to Mr. Sanduga, and it turns out that he was really pushing hard, trying to catch Drip. He had I think he has 9 seconds of penalty, and he was pushing really hard so that he can catch up to Drip. But coming out of turn 2, he just gave it a little bit too much throttle and just spun out, and it looks like he DNF'd with terminal damage. So yeah, Mercedes, they're also not pretty happy. A lot of the Mercedes teams are out right now, but they're looking forward to next week's race in Japan, and they're using this as motivation to do better. So they have the right mentality right now, but tough luck to them.
Yeah,
Tough
Spinini,
luck indeed.
like about the worst day you could think for the Mercedes power guys, right? Taking a look at penalties real quick here. There's really not too many of them actually, kind of by D2 standards. I mean, Hudson's 5-second penalty make it remove. Josh is in a difficult position with that drive-through because he can't serve it now, and then a couple 3-second penalties here spotted around. But not too much of an impact so far at Brazil.
Is what they're gonna do one more lap.
Yeah, it looks
They
like
go
safety
green.
car's gonna do one more lap.
Really tough for Josh as well because it takes laps away from him being able to try to make up some ground, right? And so Cole was the
Yeah.
only lapped car. Drip has made it to the back of the train, and after serving that drive-through penalty, Josh may find himself in the back of the pack.
And then another thing we're getting a request for with this safety car restart is if we switch up the camera type just a little bit. So go ahead and hit that F6, get our cameraman, and he'll fly around the track a little bit. On that safety car restart, maybe we can see a couple people go, 4 wide, trying to. Is Cole retiring from the session? No, he just goes super wide. That was an interesting choice right there. I wasn't sure what Cole was doing at that moment.
Maybe just getting out of the way. I mean, now he's already lapped down, so I guess trying to go into the back of the pack to finish
Yeah.
up cleanly for the last 4 laps, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of frustration. There's collision right in front of him as Brian touches somebody.
More
and I believe it was
collisions.
Oh, wow.
Alex. So that definitely throws a wrench into, those back places. It's going to screw things around, all those penalties.
Yeah, we definitely had a couple of those kind of brake check moments under the safety car in D3. Looks like we may have had one similar here in D2. Yeah, those guys all from 7 to 11 have the strategy maybe all. I wonder if any of them have wing damage too. They may have to come in. And I may have missed. Is the safety car in this lap? Or
Yeah, safety car's in this
Okay.
lap, so be ready to watch Johannes. He tries to catch Hudson at the perfect time. Hudson does have control over this. And he goes, Hudson gets, he's the leader. He gets a better restart there. And right behind Johannes, he had Josh. And Josh is getting out of.
Oh!
Yes,
No.
there's crash. What in the world?
Wow. It looks like Sid may have touched Josh. Josh is out. The Ferrari's getting all the way, and there is just carnage here
Yeah,
in the
what
Senna
in
S
the
on the
world?
restart.
That was the most bizarre thing I've ever witnessed in Division 2 race. It looked like Sid had just tilted his steering wheel to the right and hit Brian. I don't know what was going on right there. The stewards are going to have to look at the telemetry, see what kind of steering angles he was doing, see all kinds of replays. That was bizarre.
I wonder how many of them got damaged. And just, I mean, look how quick that incident, right? And now we see Drip, who is in P13, is now in P7. And if he got out of that cleanly, he could finish there.
Yeah, and he's got, 3 laps to go. So he's just got to finish strong and get in, a good points finish, P7.
But what you have to notice, Drip also has, I think, nine seconds of penalty. So
9 seconds is brutal.
That's a great point because with everyone bunched up now, that matters so much more.
yeah,
And Hudson goes 107.9 without DRS.
Wow.
That guy's just fast.
those are some qualifying times.
Yeah.
In D3.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people in that Division 3 race running in the 108s. And that guy, no DRS, just hammered it.
Johannes maintaining that 1 second gap to Hudson. He'll try to stay within DRS range. We see him kind of using batteries sparingly just to keep that gap intact. putting pressure on Hudson here towards the end of Sector 2. They finish it coming out towards the back straight.
It's going to be such a bizarre ending if Hudson is the victor, because we're so unsure about his time penalty. So I personally don't know how to navigate that. Do we? I guess we'll find out. We'll find out once the race is over, as Johannes is looking to get him with DRS after the center S's, but
And Hudson looks low on energy. His red light is flashing.
Yeah, he has no ERS right now. He's weaving a little bit. It's gonna. Oh wow! It's gonna come down to the final turn.
And this, of course, the first lap post safety car with DRS enabled, and does look like we are looking at a final sector finish. Johannes
It's
making that gap
crucial
very small.
Yeah, it's crucial that Johannes gets a great exit out of turn 12.
That's what he's got to be thinking about right now. He's got to, stick on his rear, focus on that exit out of turn 12. Get on the ERS, get on the DRS as soon as you possibly can. Probably could have carried a little bit more speed in there.
Not a great exit. He'll try to drain all his ERS. DRS kicking in now. We'll see if he can carry the speed. It's going to be a photo finish here. Hudson defends on the inside.
Oh my god.
Johannes on the outside.
And Johannes
and he's
does
going to
it.
pull it off.
What a finish.
What an ending to week 3 in Brazil. Hudson had command the entire time. A 5-second penalty. We anticipated to be wiped out, but no matter what, Johannes comes out on top. Great battery management. Great job keeping that gap, very skinny until DRS kicked in on the last lap. What an ending.
Yeah, that was, phenomenal. Ups and downs, he had the strategies of the hards and the mediums, and then once the safety car came out, that was all thrown away, and then you had a 5-lap shootout that came down to the final turn, barely at the very end due to DRS. Johannes passed Hudson. That was a phenomenal finish.
So another Alpine 1-2. They continue their dominance. Good showing for Red Bull here with a 3, 4, and a 6 for the Honda-powered unit. Sleek in P5. Sid, probably a disappointing P7, right? After that turn 1 incident post-safety car.
Yeah, it's got to be super disappointing. He was up in the lead for many laps of this race, and that crash after that safety car really just did it in for him. He was looking for some great points.
Yeah, he definitely looked on for a podium there at the end, but yeah, we'll have to see what happened on that straight, because he would have had it with all the penalties in front of him.
Drip with driver of the day. Great drive out of him, and OG will look to maybe bring these guys into the waiting room and interview them after. What an ending! What an ending!
What an ending!
Yeah, that was phenomenal. We're waiting for, Ethan, Hudson, and Johannes to get to the waiting room. But, yeah, that was phenomenal. And, whether he keeps the P2 or not, Ethan Patel showing once again that he's Division 1 material as well. Another P2 or P3, depending on how it goes. And we're going to pull him in first, actually. Ethan!
Oh, what's up, man?
What is up, man? It seems like you're on fire right now. You had a great start to the season, and this is P2 right now. Potentially, we don't know how penalties are going to turn out, but it's looking like P2 right now. Are you feeling like Division 1 is in your sights for next season?
The goal is always to be back up there. I was up there first season. It didn't go well. I haven't been back since, and that certainly is the goal.
Ethan, the dominance here from the Alpines with your teammate Johannes. How fun has it been for you to kind of work with him as a team? And this is what, the second 1-2 maybe you guys have had? You putting on a clinic. How is the team working together?
Man, the chemistry there is fantastic. Last night was a crazy one for Johannes. We were chilling and calm. It was just a great night, and we bring that to the race and work so well together.
Yeah, Ethan, what were you thinking when Sid went to pit and he was just behind you guys, and he might have gotten podium with all the penalties in play before he crashed out?
Oh, I was scared because before the safety car, my tires were gonna die at the end of the race. They were gonna be on 75%, just like Imola. I was so scared because Sid was on the new softs, and then when I saw we hit the pit, I thought I was screwed because I had that 5-second penalty. So I was like, this is race over, right? No podium. And then Ferrari, I don't know what happened. I don't want to say anything, but I think they took each other out.
It was carnage. From what we saw,
Yeah,
it was just
absolute
carnage.
Yeah, I was lucky to avoid it. Sid ghosted right in front of me.
Yeah, well, crazy race. You sound absolutely juiced right now, and I don't blame you. Great race, and see you in. Well, you're moving up to D1 for the Japan race, no?
Yes. Potentially if everything lines up properly.
Well, there you go. So, you know, looking forward to seeing you in Japan. I know you love that track. So, see you, Ethan.
All right, see you, man.
So after that, we're gonna pull in Johannes, our race winner. Johannes.
What's up?
So
How was
that
your-
had to have been incredibly like just just exciting. That had to have been the most exciting race of your ZRL career, no?
Yeah, definitely. It was. Oof. I will never forget this race. Holy shit.
Johannes, man, we were on board with you during that last lap, of course. Hudson showed incredible pace the entire race. How hard was it for you to keep pace with him without DRS after that safety car towards the end?
Oh. Yeah, it would have been difficult if I didn't have the DRS. And the 2 laps before the DRS, after the last safety car, it was tough. He was 8 tenths ahead of me. At one point, I was okay. Shit, I have to push. And oh yeah, I'm speechless. I can't say anything right now. I have to drink vodka to. Yeah, it's crazy.
I have one more question for you. So when the first safety car happened, you switched on to hards, and Hudson switched on to the mediums, and we were in the commentators booth. We were thinking, there's no way the hards can ever catch up by the end of the race. But you started closing down towards the last 10 laps of the race. So did you think you were actually going to catch him?
I at the beginning, no. I was okay. Maybe it was not the right strategy, because I talked with Ethan and he said that it was possible to make it to the end. I thought it wasn't, because I had made some practice up to this race and I couldn't make the mediums last that long. So I took a hard and hoped for my theory was right, but it wasn't. So the last safety car really saved me.
Yeah, that was a great race from you.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, phenomenal race. You deserve a drink after that one.
Yeah, I have to get drunk again.
You're a crazy man.
Yeah,
Johannes,
crazy
great
man.
race. Great race, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, super
Nice job, man.
Well, there we have it. That was maybe the best race, certainly the best finale we've seen. It's up there with Mexico from last season. Saudi Arabia had some great ones as well, but that goes down as one of the great ZRL races.
And the ending was great. And I think the talent level again, and every week we say it, but it was just outstanding, and it was a pleasure to watch once again.
Yep, so don't forget to like, subscribe. We're coming Japan in 2 weeks' time. We got a Division 1 race next week. Or not next week, tomorrow, sorry. It's going to be in Brazil. They're going to be just as fast, if not faster. And so, yeah, we'll see y'all soon. I'm OG. See y'all later.
I'm Buffalo, and Spanini is a sideline reporter. Thank you, guys.
There we go.